Alright, so I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is my second time recording this. I actually just previously recorded this not too long ago, probably like a couple hours ago. And the reason I'm recording this for a second time is because, well, my dumbass didn't make sure the mic was connected to my recording. And so I had no fucking audio for a near hour video, by the way. It took 55 minutes exactly, actually, the recording itself. Obviously, I would have edited some stuff out and all that. But, yeah, so this is my second time recording this because this guy's an idiot. But, yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Innocent Bystander YouTube channel. I was actually planning on wearing an Eagles jersey, Carson Wentz Eagles jersey, might I add. But it's A, freezing in my house, and B, as a Giant fan, I just couldn't put on the Eagles jersey. It just didn't feel right. But I was going to do it to troll the Eagles because obviously last night they lost to the Commanders. Well, when you see this, it'll be 2 nights ago. They lost to the Commanders, and I just felt like trolling them because, well, we're in second place now. Only one game back. So Eagles fans, be ready. The Giants are coming for that top spot in the NFC East. But anyways, the usual. I'm going to tell you this before I even get into it. Like, subscribe, click that bell. I'm coming at you with an NFL Week 10 recap. And if you remember correctly, I did this in Week 2, and it was absolute garbage because I just wasn't exactly as skilled as I am now at what I'm doing right now. So this one will be better. I promise. I don't know if it'll be as long. That one was around 38 minutes. Might be a little longer. I'm hoping to keep it a little bit shorter. Doesn't help that I'm keeping this intro going for a solid 2.5 minutes now, essentially. But so with that being said, let's get right into it. All right, so the first game we're going to talk about is the first game that happened in NFL Week 10, which was the Thursday night game between the Falcons and the Panthers. And honestly, I'm going to keep this one relatively brisk because I didn't watch any of it, honestly. From what I heard in the few lowlights that I saw from Marcus Mariota especially, it wasn't a pretty game. Marcus Mariota threw a interception while he was falling 360 to the ground and just chucked it like that. So great start for Marcus Mariota. He's probably not going to have his job for much longer. Desmond Ridder will probably be starting next week if I had to put money on it. Deontay Foreman had a very good game. Again, I think he had like 35 carries or something crazy for 130 yards. So he had another big game. Good for him. Solid back. But that's not even what I really want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the Falcons real quick and how they have one of the best weapons in the entire league and they don't even use him. Obviously, I'm talking about Kyle Pitts. The guy is one of the biggest mismatches in the entire NFL, and he sees maybe 3 or 4 targets a game, essentially. What are you guys doing? Why are we making one of the best weapons in the NFL a blocker and a blocker only? You just completely ignore the fact that the dude is one of the most productive receiving tight ends coming out of college ever, and you decide to make him a blocker. Arthur Smith, you're going to have a job for a really long time in the league, man. I promise you that. So the second game was the Bucs-Seahawks, and that kickoff was 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. I didn't exactly wake up for it. Didn't feel like it. And then when I woke up, I actually ended up going to the gym, so I didn't even pay attention to the game much at all. But this game was in Germany, so shout out to them. 21-16, Bucs W, second one in a row. I just want to start this off by saying that Devin White was playing with a heavy heart because his father passed away, and he found out on the flight, right before the flight, that he was going to Germany, that unfortunately, yeah, his father had passed away. And I know you'll never see this, Devin, but, man, I'm sorry for your loss. My condolences to their family. Can't imagine how incredibly tough it is to play through those circumstances, and he actually had one of the best games of his career. 8 tackles, 2 sacks. He was unbelievable. Man, like, he played with an absolute motivation, and shout out to him for that. Much respect. Can't imagine how difficult that was. But anyways, a couple notes from this game from what I saw and what I caught. Chris Godwin and Julio Jones looking much better. Godwin is recovering slowly, and he finally got another touchdown, which seemed as though he was due for one. Julio Jones looked explosive, and he's still a good wide receiver. And I feel like Julio, for however long he is going to be healthy, will be a good wide receiver. But he only plays about 3 games a season now, so that's not a lot of time. As I said, though, looked explosive. And if he is even 40% of what he was, that's a big thing for the Bucs. He definitely helps. As I said, looked very explosive. Another thing is Tom Brady did not get sacked, which is a massive, massive deal because the interior of that offensive line has been a big problem for that team. So be on the lookout for that. If they start shoring up that protection, then who's to say the Bucs can't go on a little run here? Rachaad White has arrived. He had a great game. I think he had 22 carries for 105 yards. He put the game away, essentially. He was the closer for them. And that's huge. Fournette went down with an injury and also threw one of the worst passes I think I've ever seen in my entire life. He essentially threw a jump ball to Tom Brady. Yes, Leonard Fournette threw a jump ball to Tom Brady on, by the way, one of the best rookie defensive backs in the entire league, Tariq Woolen. Guy deserves his flowers. Probably going to be NFC Defensive Rookie of the Year. Just what exactly were we thinking there? But anyways, Rachaad White, let's get back on track. He was unbelievable in this game, especially when Fournette went down. He's a pretty damn good back. He looked like he had some juice that Fournette just hasn't had. And honestly, the Bucs offense really needs that right now. So probably going to see Rachaad White getting more involved in the future. And honestly, I think it's the right move for them. Lastly, on the Bucs at least, Brady broke his no interception streak at 399 consecutive pass attempts. The record is 402, which is held by Aaron Rodgers. Brady was 3 away from tying, 4 away from beating it, and threw it on his 399th. So, I mean, not a record that really should hold much weight because it usually just means that you're not really taking that many chances, but nonetheless, an impressive amount of passes without throwing a single pick. The Bucs' run defense also finally showed up. This is my last point on the Bucs, I promise. And this was one of the biggest strengths for this team for the longest time. And to see it finally showing up and finally playing out is huge for them. This is huge for their playoff implications because there's a lot of good running football teams in the NFC. So if the Bucs' run defense can stay stout, I think they held Kenneth Walker to just 10 carries and 17 yards, who was absolutely dominating teams the past few weeks. That's huge for them. That's absolutely ginormous for the Bucs. So, as for the Seahawks, not much to really say. I mean, Geno was decent in this game. He wasn't anything special. Didn't have a run game to really back him up. DK Metcalf, once again, terrorizing opposing defensive backs, and he's just been doing that all season. Aside from that, though, I mean, the Bucs offense hasn't really impressed. The Seahawks defense has been very good. Gave up 21 in this. Not a crazy amount of points. Just the offense could not put up enough. Geno's been really good to this point in the season, but not a great game from Geno, not the worst game from Geno, so shit happens. Lions-Bears, and this had no business being this entertaining of a game. The final score was 31-30. The Lions caught the W, and this was the second Lions win in a row, and oh, by the way, the first road win in Dan Campbell's coaching career. So shout out to Dan Campbell for that one, because I actually really love Dan Campbell as the Lions head coach, and I think the Lions have quite a bright future there. I think they figured out their GM. I think they figured out their head coach. They're really just their quarterback away, and I think they will end up getting their guy in this year's draft, as by the way, they also have the Rams pick. So not only will they have their pick, which is going to be a really good pick, the Rams seem like they're really struggling, and I will talk more about them in a bit. So it seems like the Lions are going to end up with 2 top 10 picks, so it probably allows them to make whatever trade they really want to make to go get the quarterback of their future. Anyways, Goff was decent. Goff has been mostly decent for this entire season. He's had a few stinkers, of course. He's Jared Goff, but he's been decent for the season, and he's the exact type of stopgap quarterback you'd want if you want to sit a rookie for a season or two. So I think Goff may have one more season in Detroit, but after that, I think it's going to be turned over to a young quarterback. What's up with this DeAndre Swift usage? I don't exactly understand what's going on there. I'm not sure why he only got 7 touches in this game, and I know he wasn't injured, because I think he complained about it later after the game. I don't understand it. He's probably the most dynamic player on your offense, right next to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who, by the way, looked fully healthy. He did have a play where he got up limping, but he looked fully healthy, and he was amazing in this game. He had 11 catches for, I think, like 117 yards or something like that. He was fantastic. But, yeah, I don't understand the Swift usage. Jamal Williams is a decent back, but he's not DeAndre Swift, and he doesn't have the home run potential of DeAndre Swift. So don't exactly understand what's going on there. And I know he has injury history, but if he's suiting up, you got to use him. He's that dynamic of a playmaker. 147 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And who do we think that is? By the way, it's not a running back. It's Justin Fields. And Justin Fields, once again, had a phenomenal game. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 touchdowns through the air, 167 yards through the air, something like that. He was great, absolutely fantastic in this game. But he did have one really terrible interception to Jeff Okudah, Ohio State on Ohio State crime, who then ran it back for 6. So it was one hell of a game. A lot of offense. Obviously, the pick 6 ended up costing the Bears. But if you're a Bears fan, you got to be happy with the result, win or lose at this point, because, look, it improved your draft stock, number one. And number two, you definitely know you have your guy now at quarterback. I'm very happy that the Bears gave him some weaponry here, obviously the trade for Claypool, and then changing the playbook for him. I actually think I want to do a deep dive on Justin Fields and what has changed in the past few weeks for him. And if you guys want to see that, let me know on that one. But yeah, Justin Fields has been unbelievable, and he's running the hell out of the football. Of course, the Lions' defense is awful, but Justin Fields still looked great regardless. So we got to give him credit there. Credit where it's due. Browns-Dolphins was a blowout. 39-17, the Dolphins took the W. Jacoby Brissett just ain't it. He's been decent this season. He definitely hasn't really lost them many games, but he also hasn't really won them many games. Brissett's been decent. He's a very good backup quarterback, probably the best backup quarterback you could have in the entire league. But he's not the guy that you're going to rely on to start the entire season and help you be a winning team. They're definitely missing Deshaun Watson, who is coming back December 4th in, I believe, just 2 weeks. And aside from all the stuff off the field, obviously he should help them on the field. Outside of the Browns, though, this man, Tua, has to be a legitimate MVP candidate. He really deserves his flowers. And I'm talking like top 3 MVP candidate right now, because he has been on another level. And of course, a lot of people are going to give credit to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And obviously they deserve a bunch of credit because they are elite weapons and probably the 2 fastest players in the entire league. But someone's got to get them the ball. Someone's got to do it mostly accurately and give them the opportunity to A, run after catch, or B, just make some plays. Jeff Wilson was fantastic. He and Raheem Mostert averaged nearly 8 yards per carry. Jeff Wilson had 17 rushes for 119 yards and a touchdown, and they just absolutely dominated on the ground. Cleveland's run defense could not do a goddamn thing to stop them. It was massive holes where they would get 7-8 yards before they were even getting touched on some of these plays. So if the Dolphins could be a multifaceted team, and I mean, obviously you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who are going to make the run game easier because they put so much stress on a defense, those 2 guys could take advantage of this. The former 49ers backfield looking real good in Miami. The Dolphins defense is improving very quickly, and that's a scary thought for other teams because this was kind of the Achilles heel for this team in a way. They're getting healthier now. Obviously, they just traded for Bradley Chubb, and they look like they're improving very, very quickly. So if I'm other teams, kind of getting a little scared now because the Dolphins are coming, man. And they're 6-1, I believe, when Tua's under center. So maybe not exactly a Super Bowl contender, but they're getting very close to being in that tier. So Broncos-Titans, and I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't watch a single snap in this game. Maybe I watched 2. I don't remember because it wasn't a memorable game. 17-10, Titans took the W. Like I said, watched none of this game. And the box score says that Russell Wilson once again had a real shit game as he was 21 for 42 and he had a pick, I believe. He was not good. He was piss poor once again. And I'm really hoping for Russ's and the Broncos' sake in the future that The only reason he's playing this shitty is because of injury, because if he really fell off this quickly, this has to be one of the quickest declines I think I've ever seen. Another thing, Jerry Jeudy once again is injured, and this seems to be such a shitty trend. He always seems to be getting hurt and missing a decent chunk of time. I hope he gets over these injury issues, man, but look, he's injury prone now, and it seems to be the truth. Obviously, I wanted the Giants to trade for him, but maybe we really did dodge a bullet in not going for Jeudy. Obviously, the Broncos defense played well. They have been all season. Derrick Henry couldn't really get anything going on the ground. I believe he only had 55 yards or so, and it was an inefficient 55, might I add. It didn't matter because the Titans didn't have any fear because Nick Westbrook-Akine was there to save the day. And he had 5 receptions, 119 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was amazing. He played like a man possessed, and Ryan Tannehill had a decent enough game. Obviously, you won, I guess, and that's really all that matters as a quarterback in the end. But Nick Westbrook-Akine was great, and essentially, they're going to need him to be a weapon because it doesn't seem like they got many there. Essentially, him and Robert Woods, obviously Treylon Burks when he gets healthy as well, but Tennessee's not exactly filled with weapons over there. One thing I do want to say, obviously the Broncos offense is bad, but the Titans defense really does deserve its flowers. And more specifically, the Titans pass rush really deserves its flowers. Because if you did not know, they played the game on Sunday without Jeffrey Simmons, Bud Dupree, and obviously Harold Landry because he's out for the season. And those 3 are their 3 best pass rushers, in case you didn't know. So they just played without their 3 best pass rushers, and they had 6 team sacks. I'm going to call out a couple names right now. We got Rashad Weaver, DeMarcus Walker, Mario Edwards, Naquan Jones, and Dylan Cole. Those are the guys that got sacks yesterday. Again, they didn't have Jeffrey Simmons and Bud Dupree, and they still ended up with 6 team sacks. It has to be said how great the coaching is in Tennessee because Mike Vrabel always gets his guys ready to go, and it's always the next man up mentality. So credit where it's due to those guys, man. I very much follow football. I absolutely love football, and I barely know those names. I've maybe come across those names once or twice, and they dominated this game. Much respect to them. The Titans always seem to figure it out. The Titans' pass rush this season has been unbelievable, and again, it's done it without Harold Landry for all of the season and Simmons and Bud Dupree for parts of the season. So unbelievable that they just continue getting it done. So Vikings-Bills, the game of the week, the game of the year. I'm not going to lie, this game made my heart race almost out of my chest. And you may be asking, why do I care so much about a random Vikings-Bills game? Well, I had quite a bit of money on it, and I had quite a bit of money on the Vikings money line. So thank you, Kirk Cousins. Thank you, Justin Jefferson, for pulling that one out because I really did need it. Anyways, as I said, one of the greatest games I think I've ever watched. Definitely game of the year. So here's the breakdown. Ready? Kirk Cousins throws the ball to Dalvin Cook on 4th down. Wide open, walk-in touchdown. Dalvin drops the ball. Offsides on the defense. They get one more shot at it. Kirk Cousins sneaks, gets stopped, turnover on downs. Now the Bills are coming out of their own end zone, essentially. Bills fumble the snap. Vikings recover, and they score a touchdown, and then make the PAT, making the game 30-27. Bills then go ahead, drive down the field, kick a field goal, tie the game, and go into OT. Vikings win the toss, drive down, promising drive, inside the 10, get stopped, kick a field goal. 33-30. Promising drive, Bills driving down the field in the red zone, and Josh Allen throws a pick to end the game to Patrick Peterson, who, by the way, also had one earlier in the game in the red zone to make it 2 for the day. Josh Allen really has been awful, to say the least, when he gets into the red zone the last 3 weeks. I think he has 4 interceptions, maybe 5, in the red zone alone. I'm not even talking about in the last 3 games. In the red zone alone, he has 4 interceptions in the last 3 weeks, I believe. So it's been ugly. It's been really bad. And It sucks because he was the leading MVP frontrunner, and obviously that's fallen off a cliff now. Just too many turnovers, man. And those weren't the only two. I believe Devin Singletary also had a fumble, and that was picked up by the Vikings. So just way too many turnovers. They had so many chances to pull away, and they just could not do it. And I've gone this far into the game without even mentioning that Justin Jefferson is the best goddamn receiver in the NFL. And if you don't believe me, tell that to a 4th and 17 catch with the game on the line, one-handed, on a defender. So the Vikings even had no business being in that game. If Justin Jefferson doesn't make the catch, they lose the game. And of course he did, because he, again, is the best receiver in the NFL. Gabe Davis later in that game also had a drop. Well, not a drop, but the ball hit the floor, and they still kept it as a catch. So karma kind of is a bitch. Anyways, Justin Jefferson absolutely dominates once again, and he's, like I said, the best wide receiver in the NFL. To make a catch like that, which, by the way, I might very well consider the greatest catch of all time, given the circumstances. Also, Kirk Cousins has been unbelievable this entire season. He threw 2 picks in this game, but he was amazing when it really mattered the most. Like, I'm talking dropping absolute dimes where only his guys could go get it. So Kirk was great. Justin Jefferson was elite. Dalvin Cook had another fantastic game. He's still very good at football. With all that being said, I still can't trust this team. Why? Because I haven't seen a game where you legitimately pull away. And you had every reason to lose this game, and somehow you pulled it out. Can they beat anyone on any given Sunday? Absolutely. I'll believe it when I see it, though, in the playoffs. Okay, so the Giants-Texans game. Giants ended up winning 24-16. And this was a game I firmly believed that we were going to pull away. And I genuinely thought this was going to be our first dominant win of the season. But of course, as it has been all season, the Giants can never have anything easy. And it pisses me off because this is a game we absolutely should have dominated. Danny, of course, was efficient as per usual, 13 for 16, 2 touchdowns. He did everything he had to do, didn't turn the ball over. Once again, he's been fantastic this season for us. Saquon deserves the MVP trophy. I think he had like 35 carries or something crazy for like 153 rushing yards and a touchdown. Once again, being pretty much the entire offense for this team. What's up, guys? Editor Matt here. Realized that I did not talk about the Kenny Golladay situation, and I felt it very important to take this video right now and throw that in there. Didn't want to get the whole setup going for a 30-second video, but felt as though I should tell you guys that I'm done with this whole Kenny Golladay situation. He had 2 massive drops in this game, and he still feels as though he deserves playing time. I think it's over. I think it should be over. I'd cut him no matter what it costs, and I don't have to deal with the contract, and I'm not the GM, so that is not my thing in the end. But I'm done with the Kenny Golladay situation. I just can't deal with it anymore. He doesn't even deserve to be on the roster because he doesn't seem like he even wants to be here. Dexter Lawrence on defense is continuing a criminally underrated season, where he's arguably a top 3 interior defensive lineman in the entire league. So the Giants as a whole do not have a talented roster by any means, but somehow we just keep finding a way to win games. And that's all because of coaching. Brian Daboll, if he's not coach of the year, he's easily 2nd or 3rd in that. Man, it's just been a fantastic season to watch. I've been enjoying the hell out of it. Some of these games we really have no business winning. This one was kind of in the same realm of that, as they had 2 costly turnovers while they were in the Giants' territory, one of which being a pick by Dane Belton and the other one being a fumble from Dameon Pierce. So costly turnovers for the Texans. They honestly had every chance to win this game, and they just didn't want to, essentially. They are coming for that first overall pick, and pretty much probably Bryce Young. The Giants are, as I said, untalented for the most part. No disrespect to the roster. It's all due to coaching. Somehow, some way, they're still 7-2. Definitely a lucky 7-2, as we've dominated 1-score games somehow, or 1-possession games. And I'm hoping our luck doesn't run out. Genuinely love this team. Love to watch it. They absolutely love playing for each other, and it's just super entertaining to watch.